Well, now then, to us in the West, rice may be just, well, rice. But in the East, however, rice is a crucial taste of Japan.
Hello and welcome. This is the last programme of our series, and it's all about rice, which is the last dish of the meal. In fact, for most people in Japan, rice equals food. Rice and food are the same thing, and all the dishes that precede it are just to titillate the palate. And it's also all about sushi, the most popular dish made with rice, which you'll discover is not difficult to make in your own kitchen. Makes a great dish for a party. And we'll be going on a sushi bar crawl around Tokyo. But first, let's have a look at eki-ben, the meal in a box which everyone buys to take with them on a long train journey. Every single mainline station has stalls like this one on every platform, selling a variety of colourful boxes full of different tasty foods. Eki is station, and ben is short for bento, which means box lunch. The very first eki-ben was sold at Utsunomiya, a station an hour to the north of Tokyo, in 1885, and was nothing but a couple of rice balls and some pickles wrapped in a bamboo leaf. Eki-ben have come a long way since then, and today there are 1,600 different sorts on sale in Japan, with 12 million sold every day. Open your eki-ben and you might find an umeboshi plum on a bed of rice, like the rising sun on the Japanese flag. Or an assortment of simple sushi, complete with chopsticks and soy sauce. Or shaped like a fish, with a body of rice and fish and simmered vegetables in the nose. Or you could have an eki-ben of pressed mackerel sushi. Eki-ben are something of a cult in Japan. They vary region by region, even station by station. There are guidebooks to the local specialities. And some people travel the country simply in order to try different eki-bens. In Yokohama, with its huge Chinatown, the most famous eki-ben is shumai bento, containing shumai, Chinese-style meatballs. But if meat is not to your taste, there's also rice topped with fish cakes and simmered vegetables. Rice balls with tiny portions of different local dishes. Or an assortment of shumai meatballs and fish, and yet more rice. In fact, if you ever doubted that rice was the staple food in Japan, just go and buy an eki-ben. Practically every meal in Japan ends with a bowl of rice, if not several bowls. Japanese rice is very distinctive. It's short grain, as opposed to Chinese and Indian, which is long grain, and it's sticky, so that when you eat it with chopsticks, it won't fall through the chopsticks. And like all rice, the first thing you need to do is to wash it. The idea is to get out all starch. So you need to make sure that the water is going to be absolutely, absolutely clear. You need to stir it around, even rub it together with your hands, and drain off the water and wash it again and again and again till the water's clear. In Zen temples, they wash it about 5 or 6 times for 10 minutes or so to get the water really, really clear. Now, when it comes to cooking it, every Japanese kitchen contains a rice cooker, which does the job for you, and a wonderful thing it is too. So you've got a little cup which gives you an exact measure of rice. You've got marks inside the pan that show you exactly how much water to put in. 1 cup of rice, 1 mark of water. You put down the lid, plug it in, and half an hour later, the rice is absolutely perfect and ready and waiting for you. And you can leave it on all day long if you like. You can have hot rice all day long from your rice cooker. Now, in this country, we have to make do without rice cookers normally. So what you should use is a good heavy saucepan. And first of all, you put the washed rice into the saucepan. Then you add some water. Now, as a rule of thumb, the quantity of water to rice is about a cup of rice to 1 3/4 cups of water. You can measure it with your thumb. It should come just about to the top of your thumbnail. That depends on the size of your thumb. It does vary very much depending on where the rice was harvested. If it was harvested from dry paddy fields in America, it would need more water. If it's Asian rice, wet paddy fields, needs less water. If it's harvested in the autumn, it probably needs less water than if it was harvested in the early winter. But in any case, as a rule of thumb, that will do. And the crucial thing is that what you're going to do is basically steam it rather than boil it. So therefore you need to keep the steam in. So I've put a tea towel over the pan to hold in every single precious bit of steam. You don't want any to escape, which also means that you don't want to lift the tea towel off. You don't want to peek if you can possibly help it. You get the ends well away from the flame, obviously, and you turn on the heat. So first off, you bring the rice to a good boil, then turn the heat down to medium, simmer it for 5 minutes, turn it down to low, simmer it for another 1/4 of an hour, then turn off the heat. This is most important. Whatever you do, don't lift the lid and let it just sit there and steam for another 1/4 of an hour. That's the most important part of the process. It fluffs it all up. So whatever you do, don't peek. And when your 1/4 of an hour is up, you'll have perfect rice. So you can fluff it with a rice paddle, or you could use a nice wooden spoon and serve it up. And in Japan, rice is served just by itself, pure white and gleaming. No sauce, no soy sauce. It would be an absolute crime to put soy sauce onto rice. People like the flavour of rice in its own right. And most Japanese like a good heaping bowl of rice, if not several bowls. Now, there's one thing that does go with rice, which is pickles. And these have a very lovely, sweet, vinegary, crunchy taste, which goes very well with the delicate flavour of rice. Rather like cheese in France, each region has its own special pickles. And I've got here a selection. In fact, you'd want to serve maybe 3 or 4. Nicely cut and served on little dishes. So this is takuan, which is pickled daikon radish, invented by the monk Takuan in the 17th century, hence the name. Pickled Japanese aubergine, small, delicate Japanese aubergine. Pickled bamboo stems from the fresh bamboo shoots in the spring. This is kimchi, which is the very famous national pickle of Korea, which is chili hot and extremely popular in Japan. And pickled ginger, which is made by marinating very thin slices of ginger in some vinegar, some sugar for quite a long time, and the colour and flavour change completely, usually served with sushi. And lastly, Japanese melon, which is pickled with red perilla leaves, which give it this lovely purplish red colour. There's something inherently fun about sushi. It's a very special Japanese food. Usually you go out to a sushi bar to eat it, and sushi bars are a bit like pubs. You sit on a high stool at the counter, swapping banter with the sushi chef while he's busy making wonderful creations out of raw fish and vinegared rice. You can also send out for it. You get sushi boys careering across town on bicycles with 4 or 5 trays of sushi piled up on one hand. Very wonderful sight to see. And you can make it at home, though people tend to stick to the simpler versions of sushi for that. The crucial thing about sushi is not the fish, in fact, it's the rice. This is what makes sushi sushi. And the real test of a chef is whether he knows how to make really wonderfully flavoured sushi rice. So you start off with rice which has been cooked a little harder than usual because you're going to add some vinegar mixture. Actually, maybe you should do this for me. So this is a mixture of... この中何が入ってますか?
砂糖と
Sugar.
お酢とか塩
So it's a mixture of vinegar and sugar and a salt. It's actually equal parts of vinegar and sugar. It's a fairly sweet mixture with a bit of salt simmered together just to dissolve the sugar. Then you have to mix it in. It's a bit like mixing in egg whites into a souffle mixture. 早くした方がいい? ゆっくり?
そう早くした方がいいですね
So you've got to do it pretty fast.
うやってこう潰さないようにね。
So you want to do a cutting movement rather than pressing it down. You don't want to squash the rice, basically. You don't want to squash the grains of rice. And the fanning, it cools it down very, very quickly so that it becomes nice and glossy.
Okay.
The place to eat sushi is a sushi bar. And there are sushi bars around every corner in Japan, over 10,000 in Tokyo alone. In fact, the classic sushi started off in Tokyo, and it's the simplest of dishes. Slices of raw fish pressed onto vinegared rice with just a dab of wasabi, a stingingly hot green paste, rather like mustard. You can eat sushi with chopsticks or just with your fingers. Dip it in soy sauce, flavoured with sake and bonito flakes, and eat it in one mouthful. In theory, sushi may be a simple dish, but in practice it's a fine art, and it takes years to learn how to make it. One of the great joys of a sushi shop is the choice of fish available, and the cost of a couple of sushi can vary enormously according to the quality of the fish. The young people's end of town, where they all congregate and buy their clothes, is Harajuku. It's absolutely full of boutiques. And for those on a tight budget, there's budget sushi at Genroku. All you do is help yourself to whatever looks appetizing as it rolls by in front of you. Salmon roe, fresh bonito. And if you can't see what you want, you can shout out an order to the chefs. There are taps, you can help yourself to tea, chopsticks and pickled ginger. It's a great way to try lots of different sorts of sushi and find out which ones you like without breaking the bank. It's all very cheap and cheerful. The colour of the plate shows you the price of the sushi, and it's always excellent value. Tuna, rolled omelette, cod roe. The only problem is it's difficult to know when to stop eating. And when you've had enough, you simply add up the number of empty plates to find out how much you owe. Or you can go to the other extreme and have your sushi with lashings of high-tech Tokyo style. Contemporary Tokyo is designer city, epitomized by Sushi Bar Sai, which is the haunt of Tokyo yuppies, where the sushi is as sleek and sophisticated as the environment. You can order the set meal, or you can ask the chef to recommend the tastiest fish of the day. And you can have beer or even wine to go with your meal. The chefs, of course, are wizards with the knife, and adept at making all the standard sorts of sushi, such as rice wrapped in nori seaweed, topped with salmon roe. But unusually, they're also creating new forms of old food, and the trademark is the specialities. Tofu sushi, microchip small, and different types of rolled sushi, using all sorts of unorthodox ingredients, such as cress, avocado, and lettuce. The classic sushi is edomai sushi, raw fish on vinegared rice. And for this, you need super, super fresh fish. Yesterday's fish will absolutely not do. So make sure you get fresh fish, and you want it cut into fillets, not steaks. That's the right shape. Same as for sashimi. So today, we've got all sorts of wonderful fish.
Oh,
what have we
yes.
got?
This brill, the salmon, the prawn, boiled prawn,
Yeah,
yellowtail, the squid,
yeah.
akangai,
Red shellfish,
and tuna,
tuna, sea urchin eggs.
uni,
Sea urchin eggs.
salmon raw.
Very good. Okay, so show me how to make nigiri sushi.
真似だけでなしにやるよ。
Okay. So the first thing to do, actually, you've already made your rice, right? Because we've got the rice ready made here. We've got the wasabi here. これはどういう目的? Wasabi.
魚のね、ローフィッシュですからね、生ですから、少し臭みを取ったり、そして必ずローフィッシュにはこれをねつける。
So that you always use this lovely hot wasabi. It's so hot you only need a tiny little mouthful with raw fish. People say it unlocks the flavour of the fish. It's also because the fish is raw, it helps not to make sure it doesn't go off. So this has all been brought straight out of the fridge to use. It's got to be super fresh and kept nice and cool. So once you've got your rice prepared and your wasabi, And you've got hand vinegar to dip your hands in to make sure that the rice doesn't stick to your hands. This is very important. It's water with a little tiny dab of vinegar put into it. Next, you would cut the fish, which, as you can see, is the work of a maestro. It's not the sort of thing I don't think I would venture to do. In fact, it takes, sushi itamai-san ni naru tame, nan nen kan gurai?
そうね、一人前になるためにはやはり10年は必要でしょうね。
So it takes about 10 years to become a sushi chef, which is why Yoneda-san is doing the cutting and I'm not, certainly not. And I've heard from Yoneda-san that he spent the first 2 or 3 years you spend the time scrubbing the floors, right?
Yes.
Yes? Terrible. And making tea, running errands. And it's only after that that you guess that you're allowed to learn things like, その次何をする？お茶とか作るでしょ？最初の2、3年間ぐらい。その後何をする？
お茶？ああ、その後は魚の掃除をしたりね。まずそこから始まるね。
Then you learn how to wash the fish.
鍋を洗ったり。
You spend a lot of time washing cups and so on. Then you learn how to make rice, and finally, after about probably 9 years or so of all this awful work, you can start cutting the fish. So once you've cut your fish, then you actually make the lovely balls of rice and fish, which everybody loves so much.
そしてこの寿司を握るときは少しこうリズムをとってね。
You need a nice rhythm to do it.
こうちょっと楽しげにやらないと。
It's got to be fun. So you dip your hands in water, take a ball of rice, take a piece of fish. This is quick work, isn't it? Put a dab of wasabi on it.
そしてこの押さえるときにね、ソフトリに。
You softly press the fish onto the rice gently. And you press it on, what, 3 times? 3回ぐらいだった？
そう、1、2、3。
1, 2, 3.
だからオールドの昔の人はこうやってやったんですよ。
So now he's going to show us the old way, the traditional classic way of doing it, which was not 1, 2, 3, but
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that.
こうしてこうするわけね。これが難しいんですね。
5 presses instead of 3.
もう一度やりますか。
We'll do it again.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. こういうやつね。5は6でやっちゃう。
Or even 6. The very first thing the apprentice chef learns when he finally graduates onto making real sushi is rolled sushi. So I reckon even I can manage that. Rolled sushi is a little bit like a sandwich. You've got a layer of rice and you've got all kinds of different fillings inside it. And here's some of our favourites. First, I've got some campio, which is dried gourd ribbon. Dried strips of gourd, which turn into a kind of vegetable string. And obviously, in order to cook it, you have to reconstitute it. It's not too edible as it is. So you need to rub it with salt, soak it, and finally you simmer it in a mixture of dashi, soy sauce, sugar and mirin, same sort of simmering sauce as usual. And it comes out looking like this, nice and soft and brown and luscious. Actually, it tastes fantastic. So that's one of our fillings. Then I have some strips of cucumber, some omelette roll, some red pickled ginger, and some shiitake mushrooms which have been simmered in the usual way. Now to wrap it all up, you use nori seaweed, nice big pieces. These are the largest size. And before you use them, you need to toast them. So for that, you need to wave them over a flame for quite a short time just to make them slightly crisp, but be very careful not to burn. They give off a nice smell of the sea when they're ready. But obviously you don't want it to be brittle. Then you've got your bamboo rolling mat ready to roll. You put your nori neatly on it with the smooth side, the shiny side downwards. Wet your hands in your hand vinegar. You've got your sushi rice already made. Take a nice handful of sushi rice. And you want to spread it on as evenly as you can. Now, I'm sure Yoneda-san wouldn't do this, but if you haven't completely covered the nori, you can patch up a little bit on the sides. You want to make a nice even rectangle, and you want to leave about 1 inch of nori free at the front for the rolling process. Just dry my hands. Then you make a little hollow along the rice where you can put your filling ingredients. You can put some wasabi here if you like, and you choose which of these ingredients you fancy. So I'm going to take some of this lovely gourd ribbon. This used to be my favourite lunch when I lived in Tokyo. Just strips of gourd ribbon rolled up in rice and seaweed. And line it up fairly evenly on the rice. Maybe some cucumber. Exactly cut to fit the rice. Some omelette strips. Some pickled ginger. And some dark brown shiitake mushrooms. You've got a variety of colour here. Well, so far so easy. The difficult bit is the actual rolling process. So you get hold of your mat. You want to hold all the ingredients in place with your fingers and take one bit of rice over to meet the other. And then pull it tight. Needs to be nice and firm. Carry on rolling and seal the edge with a little touch of your hand vinegar. And then leave it with the sealed edge downwards just to settle. Finally unroll it. Now the great thing about these is they're wonderful party food, and what you can do is just wrap it in cling film. You can make them in the morning, for example. Wrap it in cling film and then last thing, just before you're going to eat it, unroll it and slice it. Or you can, even better, you can slice it straight away. You'll need to dip your knife in water just to make sure that it doesn't stick to the rice. It's very sticky, this rice. First you cut it in the middle. Then in half and in half again. Once you've cut these, you really should eat them fairly quickly. They don't keep. It's the rice that goes hard. And you certainly can't store them in the fridge, I'm afraid. Now, the test of good rolled sushi is whether the ingredients are exactly in the middle, like a hub in the middle of a wheel. It's not too bad, but not perfect. But not bad. The other thing is the rice should be nice and firmly packed. So it's very nice party food. Here's an example of what the master chef can do with the same basic ingredients. This is Yoneda-san's rolled sushi, with rice, nori seaweed, egg strips, gourd ribbon, rolled up into all sorts of different shapes and served with pink pickled ginger. Sushi is great takeaway food. There are shops all over the place in Japan where you can stroll in and buy yourself an instant lunch in a box. There are branches of Kyotaro all over Japan, which all produce identical fast food sushi, the exact opposite of the designer sushi of Sushi Bar Sai. As always, you choose what you fancy from the plastic samples of food on display. This shop has all different sorts of rolled sushi, but it specialises in chakin sushi, silk square sushi, named after the square of silk which is used in the tea ceremony. To make it, the chef takes a ball of vinegared rice and wraps it in an omelette square as fine and delicate as a square of silk, then ties it up with gourd ribbon to make a neat package, and tops it with a sprig of broccoli and a prawn. Here at Kyotaro, they make 70 to 80 of these a day, and they're particularly popular at holiday time. Silk square sushi. With a little care, you can make it at home, and it's a particularly striking and attractive dish. Sushi is a great dish to serve for a party. In fact, one of the best ways to serve it is to let the guests roll their own. So to do that, you provide all the different possible filling ingredients. I've got a large selection here, and you'll find many more in the book. So you pre-prepare all the ingredients which will be the innermost core of the sushi. You also provide sheets of nori, cut into quarters, and you provide rice. And then you have to instruct your guests in what to do. So to make it very easy for them, they can even use a spoon, And they take about a spoonful of rice, put it diagonally into the nori. Then they can take any of the filling ingredients which they fancy. So I've got here the perilla leaf, shiso leaf, which is rather like mint, which is wonderful. My favourite, gourd strips. And some shiitake mushrooms. You have to warn them not to take too much or it gets too full. Finally, there's various flavouring things like sesame seeds you could put. At this point, really, almost anything will do. And they roll it up and eat it. What do you think of this?
Good. Nice.
Is it?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is actually a highly respectable form of sushi. And Yoneda-san will show us how the professionals make it. So in the sushi shops, it's called temaki sushi. Can you show me how to make some temaki sushi? Which means hand-rolled sushi. And in a proper sushi shop, you'd have probably half a sheet of nori spread out over half of it. This sort of sushi originated, apparently, from starving apprentices quickly grabbing half sheets of nori, ducking under the countertop, pinching a little bit of rice and a few ingredients and eating it straight away, as Yoneda-san has just told me. So again, you take whatever ingredients take your fancy, raw fish, whatever, roll it up, and obviously it's quite difficult to serve. It's easier to just pass it across the counter in the sushi shop. Okay. Can you show California maki? So sushi is actually rather a chic food. It's become chic in the city, in Paris, in New York, and quite a few people say that you can get better raw fish, better sushi in California than you can in Tokyo. And in fact, there's been some Californian influence going the other way. So in Tokyo now, you can get California rolls using all sorts of rather un-Japanese ingredients, like smoked salmon, avocado, cress, that kind of thing, and rolled up just like an ice cream cone. Sushi. It's the most versatile of foods. Once you've made your vinegared rice, the possibilities are practically endless. Try it, and you'll see why sushi is everyone's favourite in Japan. Well, I'm afraid that's the end of our series. Yoneda and I have enjoyed sharing what we know about Japanese cooking, and I hope it's been fun for you too. Hopefully you've already tried some of the dishes in your own kitchen and discovered it's not as difficult as you thought to bring a taste of Japan into your own home. So from Yoneda-san and myself, thank you for joining us, and goodbye.
さようなら。